He came home on a Tuesday. Not a birthday, not an anniversary, a Tuesday. A kind of thing you forget by Friday. The closet was half empty, hanger swinging, and on the kitchen counter, under a coffee mug gone cold, there was a note. He read it twice. Then he stood in the quiet for a long time, because the apartment had never been this loud before. What he did over the next 12 months is the reason he's still standing today, but it didn't start the way you think. This isn't a story about getting her back. This isn't about revenge, or a glow up, or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about a man who lost the life he thought was permanent and used a 2,000-year-old set of tools to build a self that couldn't be taken from him again. Three practices, one brutal year, and by the end, I'll show you the exact moment he stopped checking his phone. If you ever come home to a quieter house than you left, stay. This one's for you. The first weeks were the worst, and not for the reason he expected. It wasn't the loneliness, it was a replaying. He'd lie awake running the tape backwards. The missing signs, the argument back in March, the thing he should have said, as if he could edit the past by staring at it hard enough. Then a friend handed him a thin old book, Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who wrote the private notes to himself at night, never meaning anyone to read them. One line stopped him cold. You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Her choice to leave was an outside event. Done. Sealed. Not to his control. His 3 a.m. spiral? The replaying? The bargaining? That was the one thing still his. So he drew a line down a page. On one side, what's mine. On the other, what isn't. Her feelings? Not mine. The note? Not mine. Tonight's dinner? The next hour? The next breath? Mine. It didn't fix the grief. The Stoics never promised that. But for the first time in weeks, he knew which war he was actually allowed to fight. And the strange thing? The moment he stopped fighting the wars he couldn't win, something else woke up. We'll get to that. First, the practice that nearly broke him. There's a Stoic exercise that sounds insane the first time you hear it. They call it the premeditation of evils. You deliberately picture losing what you have, not to be morbid, but to take the sting out of the fall before it comes. But he was past the fall. He'd already lost it. So he flipped the exercise around. Every evening in the apartment that still echoed, he made himself sit with the worst version of the story. She's gone. She's not coming back. This is the floor. And here's what nobody tells you. The floor is solid. You can stand on the floor. For months he'd be falling, bracing for an impact that kept not coming. The exercise let him finally land. He stopped negotiating with a future that wasn't going to arrive and started living in the one that had. The Stoics had a phrase for it, amor fati, love your faith. Not the watered down, everything happens for a reason, but something harder. This happened. It's mine now, and I will not waste my one life wishing it were a different life. He didn't feel grateful, let's be honest, that takes longer, but he stopped flinching. And once a man stops flinching, he starts to notice that he has hands again, which is exactly when the third practice began, and it had nothing to do with thinking at all. The first two practices happened in his head. The third happened in his body, and is the one that actually rebuilt him. The Stoics believe you don't think your way into a stronger self, you act your way there. Virtue isn't a feeling, it's a thing you do today in small, ordinary steps. So he started small, embarrassingly small. He made the bed every morning before the thoughts could get a vote. Then cold showers, voluntary discomfort. The Stoics did it on purpose, choosing a hard thing so that hard things stopped choosing him. Then a walk, then the gym at 6 a.m., back to the iron he'd abandoned years ago. Then cooking one meal instead of eating over the sink. None of it was about her. That's the secret. Every rep was a quiet vote for a man who could stand on his own. A man who didn't need a house to be full to feel like the house was home. There was one more stoic image he leaned on the hard nights. They called it the view from above. You picture yourself from high up, the building, the city, the turning earth, until your enormous private catastrophe shrinks to its true size. Real, but small. One story among billions. Survivable. And somewhere in month 9, on an ordinary morning, he reached for his phone out of habit to check if she'd texted and realized he'd already been awake for an hour and hadn't thought of her once. That was it. No fireworks. Just a quiet Tuesday and a man who had become someone the old version couldn't have imagined. He didn't get an old life back. He got something the old life never gave him. Proof that he could lose everything that defined him and still, slowly, rebuild the self from the floor up. 3 tools if you're standing where he stood. Separate what's yours from what isn't, and only fight there. Stop bracing for the fall. Land and stand on the floor, and rebuild in your body one small ordinary rep at a time. The note on the counter ended one story. He didn't get to write the next one. That part was always his. It's always yours. If this found you on your own hard Tuesday, you're not as alone in it as it feels right now. Subscribe and stay for the next one. We'll keep walking each other home.